Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast, now with PS5. I'm the Dean of Games, the Dean Slater on all platforms, and joining me today from Twitch's Graveyard, we have Gavin.
Fucking gold.
Yeah, so I was given a PS5 as a late Christmas present. You wouldn't know you wouldn't know the person that gave it to me, but
You're right.
it was Gavin. Because he's the best. But how are you doing?
My God complex. You're gonna feed into my God complex now? Awesome.
Yeah, of course. How are you doing?
Fucking cold.
Oh, right. You are letting my dog out.
Yeah.
Because you're right next to the back door and he's like, outside?
He's like, no, bitch. I'm like, stop.
Yeah, he does that. But yeah, as far as me, everything's going well. I've been working on doing a weekly planner every day, being like, all right, this is what I'm going to get done today. Haven't always gotten everything done on my list, but just having that list is helping me not fuck up.
Uh-huh.
And so hopefully it's the first step to go away, G-Force. Hopefully it's the first step towards me being better as a content creator and so forth, and just being more organized in general, because that's something I had an issue with earlier. But yeah. This is Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to Sunday, January 21st, 2024. I almost said 2022, and it's like, that's way off. Why would I say 2020? Why would I say 2022? If you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefing-room. Let us get to some news. And the first news, it's unfortunate. A beloved name who played a beloved character. The actor was stolen. This comes from a Ned Luke tweet. If you don't know who Ned Luke is, he voiced GTA 5's Michael DeSanta. He criticized AI chatbot from the company Wame, W-A-M-E, which pretended, the chatbot pretended to be his Michael character. And this is what his tweet said, quote, "This is fucking bullshit, Wame. Absolutely nothing cool about ripping people off with some lame computer estimation of my voice. Don't waste your time on this garbage." End quote. In the tweet, he tagged Rockstar, SAG-AFTRA, and Arthur Morgan actor Roger Clark, who had been fighting with X users about AI. And this was in response to a tweet linking the chatbot by Wayne, saying, "Any GTA fans around here? Now take your gaming experience to another level. Try having a realistic voice conversation with Michael DeSanta, the protagonist of GTA 5, right now." End quote. After the tweet, the chatbot has since been removed. Rockstar previously had removed a GTA 5 mod taken down by a that used an AI chatbot to interact with players during gameplay of GTA 5. Last week, SAG-AFTRA, another organization, I should say, he tagged, which is a labor union meant to protect actors, announced a deal with AI firm Replica Studio to license Replica. Get it? Get it?
Yep.
Actors' voices, and it garnered criticism because the voice actors actually voted no to any AI, and then the union's like, well, AI is fine if it goes through this studio. And they're like, no, we didn't vote that. But this comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Again, still working on the planner thing. I did not have enough time to look up other people who wrote about the story, but be sure to check everyone out. Just type in to Google, Ned Luke AI and hit news, and there's a bunch of people there. You should check them out. Support writers over these damn dirty companies. So what do you think about AI chatbots of characters that are played by real people?
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. Something that was interesting is, as I mentioned, he had tagged Roger Clark, who played Arthur Morgan. One of the arguments Roger Clark made with users was, he's like, just wait until your bank receives a call from someone using an AI chatbot with your voice to access your accounts. And it's like, I didn't even, like, I've only been thinking of like actors and voice actors. I didn't even think about they can steal your fucking bank information.
Yep.
That's scary shit. But yeah, no, it's shitty because, like, these people played these characters for a paycheck. They want to get their royalty checks and everything. And often voice actors actually don't even get royalty checks. So to then use a chatbot to try to sneak around having to pay anyone to say voice lines is just the literal worst. If you do this, you are almost the worst scum in the world. I'd say the only scummier people are the people that use AI to replace the faces of to put the faces of streamers and actresses they like on porn stars. So they have porn of the actors or actresses, whatever, that they like. That's really shitty too. That's gross. But I will say there was an interesting conversation, if you don't mind. There was an interesting conversation that was that Kind of Funny had about AI, where, and AI isn't, because their next story was the same story that we're going to be talking about here. AI isn't nearly as shitty as crypto, and specifically NFTs, because AI actually can be a useful tool. It has a reason for existing. It's just people are now trying to use it for the shitty things, and that's why we have to be vocal now to stop it from becoming a shitty thing that needs to be eradicated, and have them focus more on it being a useful tool for development. I mean, video games have been using AI for literal decades. AI is great. It's just right now it's not being used great. But yeah. Any final thoughts before we move on?
People are just using AI for the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
and it's stupid.
Yeah. Put your wallet where your mouth is. You know how much money I've spent on equipment, and I don't even make any money off this. But I know I need to have a better looking product. I just budgeted it out. I was like, okay, I can put this much away to then buy this later. And then I was constantly looking for sales. Like I bought my key lights that are pointing right there and right there. I bought those. Normally they go for these particular models normally go for $150 each. I got them on sale for $100 for both. It was a great deal. I was like, oh my god, I happen to have $100 that I've been saving up. Let's get them now. My original mic I saved up for. This new mic that was actually given to me by Landon through Landon's brother. But yeah. Put your money where your mouth is. I know it's expensive. Believe me, I know it's expensive. As someone that's spending $30 a month just running this podcast through, music licenses and podcast licenses and so forth. Like, I get it. But if it's your passion, like it's my passion, you gotta do it. Now for me to get off my soapbox. On to another shitty practice that's luckily dying. GameStop closes its NFT marketplace after 18 months. So if you do the math, it was launched in July of 2022. And this is the message that was on the marketplace. Quote, GameStop has decided to wind down our NFT marketplace due to the continuing regulatory uncertainty of the crypto space, effective as of February 24th, or not February 24th, February 2nd, 2024. Customers will no longer be able to buy, sell, or create NFTs. Your NFTs are on the blockchain and will remain accessible and saleable through other platforms. End quote. Many gaming companies have shown interest in NFTs despite criticisms of high carbon footprints and the ease of scams in using them. Research from 2023 suggests that NFT collections have a market value of 0. Because it just crashed. Something that I think is interesting that I want to point out here. I don't know if you know the whole origin of why crypto is starting to be developed and all that. But essentially the whole point was for it to be decentralized, unregulated, like not regulated, because the banks had all the power and are controlling the world, right? Those crazy people. Let's face it, it's corporations more than banks. I mean, banks are in the conversation, but it's the companies that are paying the politicians and the politicians that are taking that money to the bank. It's everyone. It's everyone that's not you is controlling the world. But anyway, that was the whole point. Was we need to have this decentralized, basically unregulated space where we can keep our money safe from those greedy little goblins. Because let's face it, that's what they're talking about, is the Harry Potter goblins. We all know what that's about. And now people are looking into all of the scams that have taken place through crypto and everything. And people are like, maybe we should regulate this. And that's why companies got involved. Companies got involved because they could essentially launder money through these scams and take even more. And now they won't be able to because people are looking into, we need to do something about this. So even with the whole, we need to keep the money out of the people controlling the world's hands. People controlling the world, they were the first to jump on it. They're like, we can do something with this. Yeah, it sucks. This was kind of GameStop's last bastion, because let's face it, physical games are, by next generation, physical games won't be a thing. And so they got to do something. And so that's what they did, which is unfortunate, but now they got to figure something else out, and they're in bad shape, but that's what they get for not transitioning sooner. But what do you think about all that? Gavin, you there?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff I just don't understand.
Yeah, I get it. The only reason I understand is because I've been covering it for so goddamn long. It's like, well, okay. It's like the next story. I've been covering way too much, and I know way too much about this shit, and it sucks. But for those of you who are paying attention, I have not forgotten. The story was written by Chris Scullion again at VGC. So, it's that time. It's time for everyone's favorite story again. Embracer lays off a sizable portion of Lost Boys Studio. Or Lost Boys Interactive, I should say. The studio was founded in 2017 and was a support studio for Gearbox for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Borderlands 3. They were acquired by Gearbox in 2022 and saw its team grow from, I want to say it was, I forgot to write down the beginning number. I want to say it was 216 to 400 people. So almost double. It's not known how many were laid off, but studio producer Jared Pace posted that it was a sizable portion and included himself in the layoffs. Parent company Embracer announced in June that it was restructuring after Embracer spent a lot of money under the assumption of a $2 billion deal with Saudi Arabia that ultimately fell through, leading to the closure of Volition and more than 900 staff across all companies being laid off. Reports from both Reuters and Bloomberg back in September claimed Gearbox is being considered to be put up for sale and having received interest from third parties. As I mentioned, they've also closed down Volition, Campfire Cabal, and Free Radical Design. And last year, over 1/10 of last year's layoffs were related to Embracer. And again, this was written by Chris Scullion at VGC. He was doing some work this week. So, just so you know how fucking crazy this is. So for those of you who don't know, guys, I use old docs, like, documents to create the new documents. So what I'll do is I'll click on one of the old ones, save as a new thing with the new date, and then change it just so we have differences, right? But it still has the formatting, so I don't have to change the formatting at all. That part where I go parent, Embracer spent a lot of money under the assumption of $2 billion deal, and then the reports from both Reuters and Bloomberg back in September. I did not write that this week. The doc I used, the third story, was about Embracer laying off people. And not only that, the report of layoffs came from the founder of Lost Boys Interactive, who just had the layoffs this story. I cannot emphasize how much this fucking sucks that I'd rather have to do extra work and people keep their jobs, not have less work because the story is the exact goddamn same and I don't have to touch it. I didn't have to touch. The other thing is I didn't have to touch the part about Lost Boys Interactive being a support studio for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, because they're the ones that reported the layoffs from the doc I use as a. This sucks. I hate this. And the other thing, if you decide to count, some people do, some people don't. But if you decide to count the layoffs from Twitch and from Discord this year, we're 2 weeks into January. We are, I guess, 3 weeks by the time of this, but there's, we are already a third of the way to last year's total number. It was close to 10,000 layoffs last year. We're already a third of the way there. And even if you don't count Twitch and Discord, the Unity layoffs were 1,800. That's already 20%, right? Just right there from one company. And then Embracer, this is sizable. We don't know the numbers yet, but is a team of 400. So if it's sizable, like, let's say it's half. And then I changed the next story from what it was to a new story. And when I went to go do it, there was a story that literally came out last night about more layoffs. I was like, God damn it. Can we just stop? Can these CEOs just take the goddamn pay cut? We know you can afford it. It was your fuck up that caused this issue in the first place. Take it out of your ass, not out of your employees. Fucking embracer. Spending money you don't have. If I spend money I don't have, you know what happens? I get overdrafted. To shit. To the point where you can't do anything. Like, you're literally in a sucky situation. I know you know all about that. Because what your roommate did to you previously.
Yeah.
But it... I hate this. These rich assholes can do whatever the fuck they want. And they're like, oh shit, the consequences of my actions... I'll just push this off to my employees. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, speaking of, remind me for the post show, or even between this and the post show, if I decide to not to add it. There was a moment that made me very upset with the coach. But next story. Well, yeah. Next story is an interesting one. I don't have a transition for this because it kind of was last minute. I had one story made because I didn't really want to talk about this because I've been giving the developer crap for, as part of a bit, I've been giving them crap. So I didn't want to add to it with a legitimately crappy story from them. But me and someone else at work, we had an interesting conversation about this, and I was like, you know what, this will make for better content. So this comes from Tom Ivan at BGC. Larian Boss says the studio's games won't come to subscription services. It was, of course, on X, where everything happens still. We gotta find a new platform, guys. Companies, we need to find a new platform. No one wants to use this platform. Let's just find another one. Or use all the goddamn money you're not passing on to your employees to make a new platform. That'll work too. But anyway, commenting on X, the Baldur's Gate 3 director said, in a world in which subscription services become the dominant business model would be bad. But here's what he said. Whatever the future of games look, the content will always be king. But it's going to be a lot harder to get good content if subscription becomes the dominant model and a select group gets to decide what goes to market and what not. Direct from developer to players is the way. Getting a board to okay a project fueled by idealism is almost impossible, and idealism needs room to exist, even if it can lead to disaster. Subscription models will always end up being cost-benefit analysis exercises intended to maximize profit. There's nothing wrong with that, but it may not become a monopoly of subscription services. We already depend on a select group of digital distribution platforms, and discoverability is brutal. Should these platforms switch to subscription, it will become savage. This is an interesting, these are interesting comments, because I think he's thinking that subscription to gaming will end up becoming like what's happened with movies and music. Which, I know a lot of other people think that too. I think gaming's a little bit of a separate beast from those. Um, and yes, I have Xbox Game Pass, which is the subscription service everyone points to. I understand the benefits of that, but I don't see it becoming the big, as big as it is for movies and music and all that. I don't. Games are weird like that. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Um, but there's another thing I want to point out. This comes from uh, also on X. So Matt Piscatella, who he runs, is it Circana now? It used to be NPD. They do, whenever we're reporting financials, like, oh, this game sold this much, this console sold this much. A lot of the times, those numbers are coming from Circana. So, like, his they do the numbers. Like, they're the people that report sales and all that stuff. Here's what he had to say about these comments. Subscription growth has flattened, and sub services, sub being subscription, obviously, on console and PC platforms account for only 10% of video game content spending in the US. I get some people want to protect their preferred model, but the idea that subs will become dominant is unsupported by data. Also, I love, he's using subs because you have limited characters, so he didn't want to say subscriptions over and over again. But I love the way my brain works. I go, well, of course subs can't be DOMs. But anyway. Oh, Daniel Mod said the same thing. Of course he did. Funny guy, that guy. But Matt Piscatella added, subs have been more additive than cannibalistic and offer players, devs, and publishers more choice in how to play or how to go to market. Fear-mongering on this topic is quite unnecessary. So there you go. That's from the guy that does numbers. And that's interesting that they've flatlined at 10% of the market. And last time I checked, like, digital games from the stores account for 70 to 75% of the market, which means physical accounts for like 15, which is crazy. But what do you think about subscriptions and this idea that you can't make, like, it's going to be a bloodbath and games are going to be more restricted with subscriptions becoming dominant?
I don't like the subscription model for everything. It's so stupid.
I don't either. Like I said, having Game Pass, I do like it that way. I don't need it for every platform. That's my problem with the movie. Music isn't too bad because it's pretty much Spotify, right? There's some competitors to Spotify, but let's face it, Spotify is the one. But with, like, movies and television, it is, oh, well, you need Peacock, you need Disney Plus, you need Hulu, you need Netflix, you need what's the Paramount Plus? We don't need that. Like, honestly, I bundled to get a lower price on my internet. I bundled it with cable just because. And I get a lot of shit for being a grandpa for having cable. Even though I really don't watch TV anyway, I only use it for NFL games, right? Go Lions, by the way.
Yeah, I have fucked up.
What's that?
So I'm playing Play with Fire, and this whole character thing is like having orb slots and shit. Well, I don't
Yeah.
have any attack cards anymore because I removed all my attack cards, so I can just try to evoke orbs as much as possible. But I had a card where it's like gain 2 focus, which ups the power of an orb, but I lose an orb slot, and I start with 3. I already removed 1. I have a
Yeah.
card where it says the first card you play each turn gets played twice. I forgot
Okay.
about it and then played the gain 2 focus, lose an orb slot thing, and now I have no orb slots and 0 way to attack.
That sucks. But anyway, back to my point. The um honestly, cable is cheaper than having the all of these subscription services now. The whole reason people started going to having a Netflix and a Hulu was because it was cheaper to have Netflix and Hulu, and you could get almost everything through those two subscriptions than it was to have cable. Now cable's cheaper. Now, sure, each subscription service has their own exclusive show or whatever, but most of them are kind of crap, right? So it just, it sucks. But I don't, like I said, I don't see that happening with gaming just because of the way gaming is designed. And not only that, I don't see it, I don't see it ending up like the television movie subscription model where, like, I don't see Steam having a subscription model and Epic Game Store having a subscription model and then Ubisoft having a subscription model and Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo. Like, I don't see there being 30 different subscription models to play games, even if they do become bigger. And as for Control, you're still, his whole thing of, oh, well, boards won't approve idealism. You still have to go to a board for every project. At some point, you have to shop your game around. Like, even being independent, at some point, you have to shop your game around. And it's still going to be that, where they're like, oh, well, we have notes. You know, that whole meme, I've got notes. That's always going to be there, whether it's a subscription service or direct-to-consumer model. Let's not pretend it doesn't already exist. That's foolish. But yeah. Anyway.
Wow, because I'm looking at this knowing that I could have won if I just hadn't gotten rid of all my orbs by accident.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you didn't like that.
I did not like that at all. I'm kind of mad about it right now. I'm about to die right here because I do not have the health or the block to block all of it. And I'm
But
about to take 15 damage extra, and I'm dead. Fuck.
but audience,
I
if you
survived for so long with no way to attack.
yeah. I mean, it happens. Trust me, I know. If you liked, or even if you didn't like this podcast, make sure to do all of the things, like hitting the like button and hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell at the XofPlays on YouTube, or giving it a high rating on whatever podcast service you use. I don't know if you can rate it on YouTube Music. That's where all the Google Play shit's going. My current platform that I use to publish the podcast, they don't have YouTube Music, so I don't know if YouTube's or if Google's going to do that transition on its own. I'll try to figure that out. That ends in April, which sucks because I also use Google Podcast and don't want to touch Google or YouTube Music. But whatever.
I don't know. I think YouTube music's pretty fun.
I know you've been saying that. I
like it.
see my problem. As we've discussed, my problem is with Google Music back when that was a thing a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I used it because I could have my digital songs that I bought through the store and the songs that I had from, I'm an old man. I
Yeah.
have, I,
That's why you don't like it, because you're an old man.
well, no, hold on. So I had most of my collection is physical that I then put on digitized onto my, onto my phone and everything. But because most of my music's there, I want my digital music to be with my physical music and be able to create playlists with that. When they transition to YouTube Music's like, nah, you can only use your digital songs. That's why I was out. They already turned me away. I don't want to deal with them. They already had a big no in my book. So I'm sure they're going to do some similar shit with YouTube Music, with the podcasts. So that's I don't want to deal with that.
And there's me who uses YouTube Music but still has physical CDs just because.
Yeah, but I'm just
bought these CDs after I already got YouTube Music. Like, I don't need the CDs at all, but like, I'm like, I get these.
yeah. But anyway, that's that. That's a whole other story. Be sure to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefingroom, you can get cool rewards and financially support the show. Because as I mentioned, all of it's coming out of my own money. That's all from us. Take care.